Hey guys, welcome to day 20 of our Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. I'm Richard Cuff, president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, master greatness coach here at GetReadyForGreatness.com, also host of the podcast, the host of the PS Factor podcast. So if you haven't had a chance to get onto our Get Ready for Greatness website, please log on to GetReadyForGreatness.com, create your free coaching profile, and also follow us here at Facebook, on Facebook Live at Richard Cuff and the Get Ready for Greatness website, the Get Ready for Greatness page. And then richardcuff.com will bring you back here to our YouTube Live in our YouTube channel where you can catch the Lunch and Learn workshops live whenever we're doing them. But if you ring that bell, you'll get the alerts to be able to make certain to know when we do go live. But you can also catch all of our previous videos right here on this channel. So without any further delay here, let's just jump right in. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to uh, go into day 20 of the PS Factor 21 Days to Greatness. And of course, this lunch and learn is divided into two sections. The first, we're going to focus on just mindset readiness as it relates to uh, specifically business and finance, and then the other side is the spiritual emotional mindset that we want to focus on. And in that sense, we're going to be doing our 7 habits to greatness. So let's begin. First of all, this segment we're going to talk about the 7 streams of income and wrap up with our 7 habits to greatness. The PS Factor, just as a recap, is in essence it's the balance between your physical and your spiritual. But remember that balance, like control, is a myth. It's something you think you have until the moment you lose it. So it's not so much balance or control as it is harmony and setting priorities. So finding that moment of harmony. Sometimes they'll, just like in a singing group or orchestra or choir, there are certain instruments that are playing the lead part and everybody else is playing a supporting role. Well, the same thing with the things that you are trying to balance in your life. You're not going to get an equal mix of everything all the time. But there will be certain things that, in order to maintain harmony, you're going to have to allow certain things to take the lead voice or to be the keynote. Then also, you have those things that are the control. From a control standpoint, it's not so much control as much as it is preparation, but then preparation in order to set priorities. So it's harmony and priorities is really what we are talking about when we say balance and control. So, but the PS factor is summed up in this way: it's your level of conscious awareness of your natural God given ability to attract a successful outcome in any given situation. So with that in mind, let's move forward here. Talk about the 7 streams of income, and I'm going to this on this weekend. I'm going to keep this lunch and learn short so that you can get on with the rest of your day. And if you're checking this out on replay or have any comments, please and leave a comment or ask a question in the comments, or you can certainly message me as well. So those 7 streams of income are getting to determining what your assets are as it relates to your liabilities and equities. Assets are those things that you own. Liabilities are those things that you owe. Equity, the value that you put in or the value that you take out. So, and that's very much a basic explanation of um, those those 3. But let's begin with that first level of income, and this is your labor income or earned income, the things that you do by converting your leisure time into um, work hours, and getting in exchange for money. So, you give up 40 hours of time that you got nothing better to do, right? So you take that time and you're going to give that business owner 40 hours, and in exchange, he's going to give you um, some money that shows up at the end of that week or the following week as a paycheck. But that's your labor income. And by the way, when I say stream of income, it doesn't mean sources. The in the sense that 7 jobs or 7 places where you earn income is not 7 streams of income. These are 7 specific types of revenue or money generating activities that are all distinctly different, and you'll see it. Labor income or earned income leads to that business income. Now you can double up here and get earned income from your business if your business is paying you a salary to work in that business. But let's not mix business ownership with being self-employed. Self-employed just simply means that you have a way of controlling the process of earning that income. But that doesn't and because you have a lawn care service, but it's still not a business in the true sense of what a business entity is. That you have a source of earning income through this by being self-employed. That you don't have to go to an AT&T or to a Amazon for a job. You can create your own source of earned income. But the reason where it stops being, or it's not a business that you own, is that the moment you stop cutting the grass or you stop cutting the hair or you stop painting the house, there's no revenue coming in. It's one thing for your business to be shut down because of the coronavirus, and that's what's happening with a lot of businesses. But oftentimes people are out of business if they just can't go to work. So when you can't go to work and your business shuts down just because you can't work, then that's self-employed. What you want to do is get to that stage of business ownership through entrepreneurship, where you are beginning to employ others that will allow you to walk away from the business for 90 days, 6 months, and in some cases, altogether, just handing the keys over, and you simply own the business on paper, because you're the majority shareholder. That's that business income. Now, the next level of income is that interest earned, and that's interest earned on your money, putting your money to work. When whether you are taking your money and you're investing it as a venture capitalist, and people are paying you back for that money, or you're putting it into a pool and it's being you're loaning it out to someone. There are um, business, several crowd-funded loan vehicles that you can use. Um, there's a company, I think it's called Prosper. That's the one that I was trying to come up with the other day. But they are crowd-funded in the sense that individuals put money in, pool their money to lend out to others, and the company splits that revenue, the interest earned, with the people who put the money in and the company itself. So that's when there are, bonds, and also just putting your money into a bank. A certificate of deposit is probably the least risky, but it's also the smallest amount of return that you're going to get. But either way it goes, you're earning income, or from through interest, you're earning income. That's that third stream of revenue. The fourth stream is dividends on the stocks that you own. You can buy stocks in these major companies, and there are several big companies that pay dividends on a regular basis. And in this bad economy, probably not so much now as they have in the past. But if you got 1 million shares of stock and the company is paying $1 uh, per share as a dividend, say every 90 days, a dividend of $1 doesn't sound like a lot of money every 90 days. But if you own 1 million shares of stock, and every 90 days you're getting $1 for each one of those shares. Yes, that's $1 million every 90 days. There are plenty of people who are retired that the majority of their retirement income is based on the dividends that their stock portfolio is paying them as a stream of revenue. The next stream of revenue is real estate. And you got commercial real estate and you got residential real estate. A lot of people hear the word real estate besides their home and they think rental property or fix and flip. But you can actually invest in real estate through buying stock in a what's sort of a mutual fund in a sense of properties, and that's called a real estate investment trust. So you can invest in those and receive a return. Also, the the sixth stream of income is when you cashing in on those previous streams from business income, interest, dividends, real estate. Whenever you sell those shares of stock or you sell the business or you cash in those bonds and get back the money that you made on the top, all of that is the difference between what you put in and what you take out. That's capital gains, and you'll be paying taxes on that, of course, but not at the same level as earned income is taxed. And but that's capital gains. And then the final one is royalties. This is money that you basically are going to make in your sleep, and usually generational money as well, because the ownership of whether it's an intellectual property or some sort of licensing agreement or what have you, the money from that is going to follow you wherever that license goes. And so Michael Jackson's kids are going to be making money for quite some time off of Michael Jackson's records. Michael is making more money now uh, after his death than he did when he was alive. So you've got those royalties that come in. So those are the seven streams of income: earned income or labor income, business income, earned interest, dividends, real estate, capital gains, and royalties. So that's that first part of the lunch and learn today. Let's go into the seven habits to greatness. We are now up to habit number six, and so let's go up to the let's go there. Let's talk about the course. This particular part of the course is designed to help you understand the significance of balancing quality relationships with an effective and an efficient use of time. You'll also learn how to manage physical and spiritual resources in order to reach your goals and achieve greatness. So we talk about thoughts versus emotions. Those thoughts are things. They shape and manifest, become maybe not necessarily physical things, but certainly they become conditions that shape your life. So you are thinking that you're poor, you're thinking that you're never going to have enough money, you're thinking that you're never going to be rich. And the manifestation is that you're poor, you never have enough money, and you're not rich. And so those thoughts become things in the sense that they become the conditions that you projected out into the world. An emotion, however, is a thought, but it's an extremely fast subconscious evaluation of the situation. Mainly, it's a way of bypassing your need to process, because our ability to physically process a situation could actually cost us our lives, especially if we're being irrational in that process. But our emotions do not depend on that. Our emotions happen so fast, they'll just bypass everything. And next thing you know, you're running because you heard a loud roaring sound. Well, that's going back to that basic instinct of fight or flight. I'm going to survive. I want to live tomorrow to tell the story. So that's what that emotion is about. You got the surprise emotion. These are what Paul Ecker calls uh, micro expressions. these are the things that you can actually see on a person's face. You can see when they're surprised. You can see fear and anger, joy, sadness, disgust, contempt. You can read that in individuals. But I like to look at it here as presenting it so that you can see how it processes through each one of these stages of development when you are at your physical, mental, and emotional stages. That physical fear, anger is that basic fight or flight. That's the choice. You move up to those more mental thoughts. Now you're getting into joy and sadness, and then you get into that deeper subconscious spiritual. You get into disgust and contempt. You're hating people, hating things that you have no real conscious awareness of why you even hate it, and it's hard to unravel it, and often that's religious groups. One group hates another group and ready to go to war over a certain set of ideologies or beliefs. So each one of those levels gets deeper and deeper as you go up or beyond physical into mental into emotional. So the first thing I want to point out is this quote by from William Shakespeare. It says, "Some people are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them." Doesn't matter how you come upon this greatness, just know that it's up to you to get ready for greatness. Um, this verse, Matthew 18:21-22, says, Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times?" And Jesus like, no, not seven, but 70 times seven. That's 490 times. And like, that's a lot, right? You figuring, is that because that person is treating me wrong? No, it's because the idea is that you should do it so often, so much that forgiveness should become a habit. And once forgiveness is a habit, then you can apply this particular verse, although it talks about fasting, but this is so powerful in leading to forgiveness. That is this not the fast that I've chosen to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. There's another verse that I want you to look at, and it's First Peter 3:9, and it says, "Do not return evil for evil or insult for insult, but contrariwise, be a blessing. For this is what you were called to do. You were, in essence, created to be this kind of a being, so that you may inherit a blessing." And so in forgiveness, that's what we find as we go through recognizing that forgiveness is to help us do this for ourselves, to loose the bands of wickedness, undo these heavy burdens, set the captives free, break every yoke, but ultimately inherit a blessing. Habit number two is the habit of releasing. Yes, releasing those bad memories, failed attempts, past hurts, unhealthy relationships, because we can all recognize the need to get rid of or let those things fall off of us. But also, I'd like to add to that past successes, because oftentimes we do want to hold on to things for far too long. And those things can hold us in place and actually become our comfort zone, create fear, and fear that immobilizes us because of things that appear to be real that really are not, or that were real at one point in time, but now they're just part of a memory that's just that we keep trying to recapture. Habit number three is the habit of loving. That's loving yourself, loving your potential, and loving others without judging. I say with those three habits, man, you can run quite a bit. The habit of forgiving, the habit of releasing, and the habit of loving. That's the beginning of some really good chilling out, right? Because now you can begin to start working on setting your goals and working on creating a new life for yourself. I can tell you that, I actually started with the habit of loving, and then the next habit, the habit of giving, because those were the two. I had two habits to greatness back in the early 80s when I started discovering these habits. Now there's seven, of course, but the first two, the habit of loving and then the habit of giving. And my thought was, you give, and at that time, my teaching, I grew up that you give because it felt good. You give for, because it was biblical. You give because it's the right thing and it feels good. But all of those are not the reason. The reason why you give is because the next wonder twin that I call them the wonder twin, is because you expect. You give because there is an expectation. And honestly, the expectation is there first. And it's the expectation that makes you give. So targeted giving, matched giving, and especially matched giving encourages people to do something. If you're going to give to an organization, rather than writing them a check for $50,000, how about saying, if you raise 50,000, I'll match it with 50,000. I'll match it up to $50,000. Those are great ways for you to use your wealth to benefit others with expectation. And that's the fifth habit, the habit of expecting, is always expect a return from your giving. Make room for in your life to receive good news that's going to come from your giving, a harvest. Don't be shocked. Don't be, wow, I got this bountiful harvest. I've got nowhere to put it. You know, have a system of distribution, and how you're going to continue to pour out back out into the community, a network of organizations through which you give. Don't plant seeds of doubt, because in this mindset that you're developing, your mind is really good ground. And if you begin to feed on negative and plant negative thoughts, you'll begin to start seeing those things appear. And don't be surprised or feel the need to apologize for your receiving a the return that you expect off of your giving. You're a giver, you get blessed for your giving. Now you feel like I gotta give that away too. No, go enjoy that. That's the return on your harvest. Go have fun. Take that vacation. Go on that cruise. Don't apologize for the prosperity that's coming into your life, because you're beginning to apply these principles that's bringing prosperity into your life. Habit number six is the habit of sharing. And that's where we are today. The difference between giving and giving with expectation and sharing is, with sharing, there is no expectation. Because when I share of myself, I cannot possibly expect that you're going to give myself back to me. I can't. If I gave you my money, I can expect the money to return to me from somewhere. I can expect that. The same way a farmer gives a seed into the ground, he can expect that seed to give him back potatoes or corn or whatever it was that he planted. But when I'm giving of myself, this giving that I'm doing is a one-way street. You're not going to find it anywhere else. When I share my talents, I've worked continuously on developing my talent. And now when I'm on stage and I'm displaying my gift, my talent, my skill, um, I'm sharing it with the world. Yes, I could get paid for it, um, but that's part of a performance. But if I truly have the habit of sharing, I just want to get that out. I just want to write. I write the poem first. I write the song first. I'm not sitting writing this song thinking, "Wow, this is going to make me $1 million." No, I have a business process through which that'll happen. But the first intent, the process is, if I don't make a dime on this, I'm still going to share it with the world. I'm sharing, and this is coming out of me. That share your advice, your knowledge, your expertise. We're especially now we're heading into this. Um, I think in the post COVID-19 shutdown, the world is never going back. We're not going back to what we were in the past. This was a shock or in 2,000 years in the making. This period where we are right now, and the world is never going to be the same. We'll never get back the tens of thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands by the time this thing is over, and prayerfully not the millions of people that will have lost their lives. We're never going to get those back. Those people are never coming back. But what is and we are never going back to the way we were before January 2020. Those days are gone. We are in a different world. But now we're beginning, because of going into the um, staying home and being on lockdown, we have to find a way to do business. We've discovered now this wonderful thing called the internet. I'm grateful. Today I actually we upgraded and went to fiber optics with our internet. Now we need that at home. I'm working from home. My wife is working from home. My son is working from home, and just the other night I'm FaceTiming with my daughter. It's now is the time for us to upgrade and recognize that this is the way that it's going to be going into the future. Now we have to make the best of it. So those we're up to habit number 6. Tomorrow we're going to talk about habit number 7. Most importantly, I also want us to talk about sharing your time. That's another uh, uh, thing. I often say, when you're going through this adversity that's driving you to building the character that we talked about in the last segment, the last module, I say take your eye off the clock, the checkbook, the calendar, and the map, because those are the things that bring you in, stop you from growing on the spiritual level. But when you come back to earth, as you have to, you're going to start measuring things again. And you're going to measure it with your money. You're going to measure it with where you are physically. You're going to measure it with how fast you're moving toward your goal, how you're 10xing your business. And most importantly, you're going to measure it with your time. So, begin to share your time, because if you don't, the, 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 the 3 hours that you didn't share um, earlier this morning, those are gone. You won't have a chance to share them again. So share your time, make it a habit. Share of yourself, your talents, your advice, and your time. Tomorrow, as I said, we're going to recognize that, talk about how everything, we're coming right back to where we began. We began with the silence that took us into our, if you remember the studies that we did on the zones, starting off with the mediocrity zone, but coming out of that silence. Everything begins with silence. And guess what? It's going to end with silence. And that's the 7th habit, the habit of silence. So, guys, thank you for hanging out with me for this weekend edition of the Lunch and Learn segment. Um, Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshops. What I'm going to do after I finish this 21 days, I probably will take a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months before I do another 21 days as I've done. We'll probably do a couple 7-day sprints along the way. But for the most part, I'm going to continue with my morning commutes. I'll just do those, the unscripted morning commutes Monday through Friday. And then I'm going to go back starting next week to my weekly podcast, the PS Factor. We'll do a reboot starting, well, the first week in May. And and then we'll have, of course, we'll continue to do webinars and coaching sessions and all those other things. So be sure to log on to getreadyforgreatness.com, create your free coaching profile, go to the um, my Get Ready for Greatness Facebook page, like the page, and even check out the videos. I'm posting all of the lunch and learns there as well as my morning commutes, that you'll be able to check them out. And the psfactor.com, you can um, support the podcast there as well. But guys, till tomorrow, I am going to be signing off. And I will see you guys tomorrow.